There
Hi.
we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi
That
Tessa, how you doing?
I am wonderful. That sounds like my morning greeting. When we morning blessings with some people on Facebook, I've been doing it for a long time. And one of the things
Uh-huh.
I teach them is to say good morning to themselves in the mirror. So when you say here you are, that's
Nice.
when you go, here you are. How are you doing? To yourself. So how are you?
All good, all good. Yeah, really good day, very productive, so
Oh,
it's been
that
good.
I was watching Zan and Evan play that game that they play for a while. So when I was talking to you, I was just
Nice.
getting up there. So Ted, so you're going to talk. We're going to talk about finance. So let me ask you, because you're young, how did you get into finance? Besides, I heard part of the story.
Well, I mean, I think it started like most people's purposes sort of start, where it's like they were like rock bottom, didn't really know. So for me personally, didn't know how to like manage my finances well. And
Mm-hmm.
so I saw that I was like, this really needs to like change. I
Uh,
can't just like not have money because I mean, there's like just a lot of different things I enjoy doing and things I want to do just in life. And I like just having independence. And so it just started with I would just spend a lot of the money I would make when I first got a job, like any 16-year-old.
uh-huh.
Um, so like I had that habit instilled in myself where work hard, right? Like that's what you get taught growing up. So I worked since 16, but I didn't know how to manage my money well, and so for a while I was just kind of struggling with finances, trying to like pay for things, I mean, pay for school or save up for things and things like that. So once I realized, okay, like I don't have much money left, started to live on my own, and that I just didn't have enough money to really make ends meet. I was like, okay, this has to change. I'm tired of feeling like this sort of trapped feeling of like, oh, I can't do things because, just because of small like financial literacy, like, those little nuggets of wisdom from financial literacy. So I decided to go ahead and just learn more about finance and just continue to change my habits with money and finance. And yeah, and I mean, and I guess that's how it started. And since then, I've been able to really uh, not only like change my habits, but be aware of habits that I did have or that I do currently have to try and improve them and grow on them.
Mm. Well, with me, it was not like that. I came from a family where you had to manage money. There was no choice. It was part of the name comes from my last name is Shillingford, which means many money lenders. So I grew up in that type of mentality where the
Oh,
money was important to them. My parents had their businesses and their work. So I was always in it. But when I got married
hmm
and I moved to Canada, I don't have my parents' money.
hmm
I don't have, the background of my parents and their money. It wasn't that. Yeah,
hmm
I had to figure it out. But I had been trained because we had businesses and we helped in the businesses, work in the businesses. So I knew the
hmm
value of money because I knew what the money did for me. Growing up as a young girl, we went to the best schools, you got the best opportunities, you had this type of things. So, so I had to figure it out. And at the back of my mind, I always knew I wanted to be better when I am older. I want to make sure that I have the comfort that I know you can have. And so because of
hmm
that, I was really, really interested. I'm sure it's my brother calling, just ignore him. So, so I was really, really interested in, yes. So anyway, I decided I am going to do as much as I can to figure this out. And
hmm
I knew what to do. But in those days, when you're 22, you're just married. I worked for the government of Ontario, and my pay was like $263, and my husband was not much more. And I knew I wanted to save. I remember being amongst people who were born in Canada, and they were predominantly white, of course. So we were like the fly in the milk in those days in Toronto. And they would get their paycheck, and there was a big department store, maybe 3 blocks from the office, and they got paid on Thursday, and they would rush down to that store and come back wearing something new, and what they had on they
Okay.
had it in the bag. I would go down to the credit union and get them to take $1.75 every week. It was $1.75, but we got paid every 2 weeks. So I saved
Okay.
350. $3.50. That's what we could save every 2 weeks. And every 6 months, they gave us a raise of $3.50. And when we got the raise, I saved the whole thing.
Nice.
My husband got a 25 cents raise, and we saved that. And we kept doing that until it got to $80 every 2 weeks. But if I had not started with the foundation of $3.50, because that is what I had to do for us to do that. So we were able to buy a house from those earnings. So in 5 years, it got to be about $11,000 because we were saving everything. So we had the $5,000 down in the house, bought the house, and that is how it started. Because the most important thing you can do for yourself if you want to grow wealth is to have your home paid for. If your house is paid for, you're growing wealth. Because the minute that mortgage is finished, that money you can invest it in other ways. You know, so that was the philosophy I took, and that is how we started. So my foundation is being very smart with money. I used to make my own clothes, sewing it by hand. I didn't have a sewing machine. So if I wanted to make a skirt, I had to buy the fabric, come home and stitch it. You know, and that is how I did it. So the journey was to be I had a journey, I had a plan. Like when people say to me, did you work so hard for your money? I don't accept that because I didn't work hard. I worked with a purpose and a plan. I knew what I wanted. And I knew there was going to be children and family and all of that. But at the end, I knew I had to have a life. We needed a life after all of that. And so the purpose was always there. And I still today, when I teach, I tell everybody, you must have a savings account. And that is first. That is the first money that you...
Yes.
It doesn't have to be all of your money. It could be $10, but it must be the first. So tell me about your part in savings.
I'm sorry, you broke up there?
Oh, I was saying, talk about the savings portion. How did you work that out with your savings?
Well, I was transitioning to college, so for me, it was my first goal was to save up enough money to pay for tuition for like the following semester, sort of thing. So, but I guess when I first got the job, just save up as much money as I could, right? Just build up as much as I can, you know, after you pay for all your food, rent, things like that, right? Like, then as I built up and built up my savings and I had some cash there, I realized, okay, I have enough to pay for tuition. Like from there, like I want to go ahead and like try and build habits from my paycheck. So instead of just like paying all my other expenses and then saving, I wanted to try and like automate a lot of like my paychecks and things like that. So it's just kind of natural now because now I have enough cushion to like pay for school or pay for, you know, different things. I could continuously save. But so that's, I guess how I really started, just build up like a cushion first. Once you have enough, then from there, analyze, do you want to save perhaps a percentage? Do you want to perhaps save like a exact amount, you know? For me, I think I just tried to save up literally everything I could that was besides tuition, rent, and food. I really think besides those three things, oh, and textbooks, although I think that was part of like tuition, right? But besides really those 3-4 things, I think I saved every other penny I could get. But that was like probably the first year, I think, of college. Like the first year and a half, just save everything.
How did you transition that to teaching your friends and people around you about saving? How did you relate to them to teach them about savings?
How did I relate to people around me?
Yes, to teach them because
like is it like more starting off, or are you talking about more current?
No, because you had to practice on somebody besides yourself. So who did you practice on? Who did you mentor, even not as a real mentor?
Well, I guess for me, a big turning point was the books, like reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. I just tried to follow that philosophy of like one of the ideas. I don't know, maybe if you never read it, but one of the ideas is how it's like the kid talking to the father, and how the father said he was going to pay him. What if he paid him $1 more, or what if he paid him $2 more? And the kid, now you're in the head of the kid, and the kid's thinking, oh man, if I get paid $10, I could go and buy I don't know, these new sneakers. Oh wait, $15. I can go and buy this new bike now. $20, right? So it was that mindset, and it was those little perspectives into like the mindsets of like just different habits with money that for me I was like, whoa, that's totally true. That's like when starting off, I was totally like, oh, if I could just get a slight raise and I could try and be able to go ahead and purchase this new thing.
But
So I think I modeled a lot more after books,
yeah, what we did,
especially just because
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, no, go ahead. Continue.
Oh no, just because like I guess at that time period, a majority of at least to what I knew, my friends like didn't really talk about money or like just because a lot of them like live out here with at the university, so
Mm-hmm.
like they had they live with family and things like that, so it wasn't as big of an issue. Um, but yeah, so for me, I think it was really just books, like learning, getting perspectives from Robert Kiyosaki or like other role models, Dave Ramsey. Um, other big names. And then also like YouTube, internet, just like, okay, like trying to see what is it that works for other people and try and model that as well.
With
That's
me,
really.
when I got a raise, it always was how
Hmm.
can I save it. Even today, if money comes in that is unexpected, what can I do? What can I save it on? I never thought of what to buy with it because I
Hmm.
always created. I talked about the spending plan, and I always had a spending plan. And
Hmm.
I didn't like the word budget because it reminded me too much of being
Hmm.
on a diet. It only told you what you cannot have.
Yeah, okay.
It was very frustrating. I remember asking my cousin to go to a place in Toronto called Roy Thompson Hall for a show. I don't know who was speaking. And she went
Hmm.
into a tightness of her body and telling me, I'm on a budget. I cannot, like this. And that was the first
Hmm.
time it really hit me. And I was still very young. And I said to her, you know what? The budget is not a good idea. So when I got deeper into teaching finance and observing people at work, even the people
Hmm.
around me, and then I was at the bank and saw the customers, I created a spending plan. Because with the spending plan, the first thing I have at the top, I tell them savings, and everybody looks at you and their savings before I pay my rent and before I pay my this. And I said, yes, before you pay this. But I had to teach
Yeah,
them.
it's crucial.
Yes, it doesn't have to be $100. It can be
Hmm.
$10. But you have to put it, you have to honor yourself first because they teach you what
Yes.
they tell you. Everybody says, pay yourself first. Nobody teaches you how to do it. So I decided I'm going to teach people how to do it. So I would say, how
Hmm.
much do you earn? And they'd say $15 an hour. I say, well, that tells me you need to put $15 times 5 in your savings account. And they say, look at my girl. I go, yeah, because you have to pay yourself first. So the first hour you work every day, you save, but most people cannot afford that.
Yes.
So I would say, well, what about $7.50 a day? Can you save that? Oh, no, I cannot
Hmm.
save that day. And I would bring it down until it came to $3.50. So I could tell them this
Hmm.
is what I started saving. And I still do that. When I mentor today, they say, oh, you're fine. I know they try to count your blessings for you. And I said, you know
Hmm.
what? I started at $3.50, and this is where I am right now. So that is what I try to tell people, that it's not hard work. It's working, but making your money work for you. And you have to do that
Yeah,
smart.
and that consistency, right?
Consistency, automatic millionaire. I tell them that because,
Hmm.
and you know what I use as a reference? The government does not trust you to pay them. The IRS does not trust you to pay them. They go to your boss,
Hmm.
your company, and you say, I want my tax. They owe me tax. Can I have it now?
Hmm.
So I said, well, use the same philosophy. Go to the bank and tell them, take $10 from my paycheck every week when it shows up. And people say, oh, the
That's
bank
so true.
with that. I say, yes, they need your $10 so they can give your brother a loan for his car. So your money is what gives people a loan. And people don't understand that. They think the bank can just print money. So it's really interesting talking about that with people.
It
That
is, yeah.
and
Hmm.
so how are you tutoring? How are you teaching now? How are you mentoring? How are you helping?
Sorry, you're freezing.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
you're freezing a little bit. One more time, sorry. You
Okay.
froze right there at the end.
What I was going to ask you is, how are you doing it now? How are you now that you're coaching? How do you coach now?
So this like coaching concept, I haven't really like thought of too much. Like right now, I've just been trying to focus on making content that at least helped me, like how Evan said, help the person you were 5 years ago. And
Yes.
so I'm trying to like share content on Instagram and YouTube on like building those habits of like savings and then investing and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I guess coaching stuff I haven't really done or really thought too much into.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So
so I mean, I guess I'm curious, what helped you get started with coaching? Because to me, like coaching seems kind of like a intimidating thing to me. Is like I just want to share like whatever knowledge I was able, blessed to learn, just share with other people, and if it works for them,
well,
then
that is
then all the
basically
better,
what
sort of
that is
thing.
coaching. That is coaching.
Oh,
That is coaching. What you
okay,
learn, you share. But the coaching part
yeah,
is where you if you're really interested in seeing success for that person, then you might have to say, hey, how are you doing? Because sometimes you, as you know, when you start on a journey like this, you can fall off the journey, right? So you, if you want to
yeah,
coach them and you want to see them successful, sometimes you have to prod them and say, you know what, how is it coming? But coaching really started for me when I wrote my first book, and but I started in the bank coaching. So while I was at the bank in 2002, I could see the trend for 2008, what would happen in 2008, because I could see how money was being offered to people and people's
okay,
recklessness with money. Some of my customers, I got into trouble at the bank. They gave me a promotion rather than fight with me. Because I said to them, they would tell me, you need to sell more to these customers, make them get more into debt.
mm,
And I said, some of my customers don't need debt.
mm,
They just got out of paying their
yeah,
house. I'm not going to bury them in debt. So they figured out if we make her manager, she has to bring in the revenue. So she will get her team to do it. But I didn't. I taught my team how to request business from these people's family. Tell them to be a
mm,
reference for them. So that is what I noticed. And we still made our quota. We still got our bonuses because we did what we had to do, but not the way they wanted us to do it.
nice, yeah,
And
the right thing, yes,
yeah, and when I wrote the book, I retired, but I wrote it in 2002 and I didn't publish it until 2009. So I published it at the right time. And I called it Controlling the Debt Monster, because you cannot get rid of debt. You're going to always have some sort of debt. You're going to get rid of school debt, your house debt, but you're always going to have credit card payments you make every month. But it's how to manage it, how to control it.
that's true,
And that is what
yeah,
I do. So I started mentoring in the bank, and what I would do at nights, I worked from 12 to 8 on Friday nights, and I worked on Saturday purposely. So I would have customers come when the managers weren't there, so I could spend as much time with them to get them, to help them. And that's how I started coaching. So, and then when the
okay,
book went out and I left, I went to work for nonprofit, and financial literacy was a big thing. And so that was how I really got my teeth into it, and a lot of success with it, because I put a lot of passion into it and helping. But every time you teach somebody something, you're coaching. And if you hold them
mm-hmm.
responsible, then you're even coaching more. So that's it. So
Yeah,
that's how one of the things you will notice with coaching. So um, another thing you can do, like if you know, like you know somebody and you know that they look at you and they say, well, you paid for your schooling, you're now doing this, and know you have the ability to help somebody. You can tell them, well,
mm-hmm.
okay, so do you know somebody that needs my help? But once you
Okay,
teach what you learn, you're coaching.
okay,
So
I
you,
thought of it that way,
yeah, because
cool,
you're
okay,
telling a person, it's like a
mm.
friend is going down the road and you're saying, you know what, there is an accident down here. So why don't you try going this way? You understand what I'm saying? So,
Yeah,
so
okay, yeah,
you in the trenches already. You knew what it was to save, to go to school, to want to be, you know what, how the value of doing it automatically, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so,
yeah,
so, so that is what you sell. That is what you give. And you say, I was there. I am the
mm.
guy you are today. You know, I am the guy. I was
Okay,
in your shoes or close to what you're doing.
that's true,
So
Yeah, and
that's,
like feeling that, oh, like there's nothing else to do, or like because you had such little money and trying to get out of that. Yeah.
yeah, and you have to tell you had to read. Only they don't even have to do that because you have me. You know, I had to go dig
Yeah,
all
true.
the holes. I had to fall in the
Yeah.
pit. I had to stand up and
Hmm.
crawl
That's
again.
true. Help
And
them,
yeah,
help them
it helped them
not
because
fall as
that's what
much.
you're telling them about your journey, how difficult it was
Okay.
for you. So when I coach
Okay.
a family,
Yeah, like even just trying to like find a job, like
yes,
just looking for a job. Like they don't really teach you in high school, like, oh,
no,
okay, this is how you prepare a resume when you have no experience.
yes, and
I don't have any experience. What do I put on my resume if I have no experience?
that's right.
I remember I remember that night like trying to like, okay, how am I gonna present it? Nothing in a sense, you know?
Yeah. So you have to sell you. You have, and there's ways of selling you.
Yeah,
You haven't got the
yeah,
experience,
yeah.
but I'm punctual. My interview was at
Mm-hmm,
10. I am here at quarter to 10. I'm quite contented to
mm-hmm,
wait for you. I look presentable for the work I'm looking for. My shoes are not
mm-hmm.
dirty. And that these are the things. It's funny people don't see that for a simple job, even to work as a security guard. If you show up
Yeah.
looking like you are the robber, they're not going to hire you. You know, so people, I had a guy, a young guy from Africa, and he was really young. I took him when he was quite young in the bank. I hired him as a teller and I brought him
Mm-hmm,
up as progress. And then there was a job that he saw somewhere else and he wanted it. He came to me and he said, I hate to
mm-hmm.
do this, but this is an opportunity I cannot refuse. I'm going to try for this job. And I said, sure, go ahead. So anyway, he came, and a week or so later, he came and he told me he got the job. And he said to me,
Nice.
I need to tell you something. And he said, he sat down in my office and I said to him, what? He said, you remember in the winter, you used to get mad at us because I had a team of 15 salespeople and that was 34 people in this branch. You used to get mad at us guys, if our
Mm-hmm,
shirts were rumpled and our shoes were dirty from snow and all of that, and you got a big can of polish, which I did, shoe polish, I kept it in the bottom of my desk. And I said, I don't
nice.
want
Yes.
you walking in here with these shoes, clean your shoe. So he said, and
Mm-hmm,
he always had, so, but he was presentable. I never had to do that. He said, I got the job. The man, they called me, and the man, I went back and he said, I needed to tell you this, why we hired you. He said, you
mm-hmm,
didn't have, you had the education, you didn't have all the experience, but you were tidy
mm-hmm.
and your shoes was clean, your shoes was polished. When you sat in this round table, we could see your shoes. We could see you had the right socks on because you're,
Wow.
and they told him that's why you got the job and you were punctual.
Hmm.
And I told him, I said, when you're presenting your resume, you know you're going for this job,
Mm-hmm.
send your resume to them 2 days by courier. You know they have it, but they downloaded it from where you think. So send it in an envelope, put your business.
Could you repeat that last part? Sorry, it cut out again.
Oh, I don't know why. I never cut off before on
Yeah,
here.
I don't know.
Yeah, so go ahead. What you want me to say?
Oh, if you guys repeat that last part with the resume.
Well, if you're going to sit with some people, right,
Mm-hmm,
for an interview, they tell you there's two or three. So what you do, you present the
mm-hmm,
resume, you can bring it with you, or I prefer to
mm-hmm.
send it to them a couple of days ahead, and you just send it in the one envelope, but you address it if you know the name of the people. Even if you know only one name and three people, you put it in
Okay,
there. So they have it.
okay.
So when you come,
Mm-hmm,
that is giving them the resume in their hands for them to look at. You're not afraid of it.
mm-hmm.
And then when you get there, you get there 10 to 15 minutes earlier. It helps you and it relaxes you. You're sitting in the reception area. You're able to observe the environment of this position or this office, this building, this company. And maybe
That's
by
true.
what you see happening in the front is only an indication of what happens in the back. So if the front is rough
Okay.
and rowdy, then it's no better in the back. So even if you are offered the job, you
That's
can
true.
make a choice because that is the window into their soul, the reception area. If they're shouting at each other
Yeah.
and if they're rushing and so am I willing to work in this environment? So being early, you can have a chance to observe what's going on. So this is what I did, and he got the job because of how he presented himself. So, you have any questions about that? Any questions?
No.
Okay. So now share something. How did you,
I do have a question on like from your experiences, because like with have you ever been in like a large amount of debt? Because like for me personally, something I was told growing up was to try and never take out debt. So like I do have some credit cards, but like I've been able to like pay that, like, you know, keep that fine. But I've
okay,
never had to take out like a large amount of like debt. So that is something I'm like, okay, I don't know. I don't want to teach people if I've never
okay.
personally been in like a large amount, you know?
There's two debts that are bad, two type of debts that are bad debt, right?
Okay.
The single biggest debt you will ever acquire is to purchase your home. Although because of the cost of education, that can be almost as the same. These are the two types of debts that are the biggest, and they are the best type of debt you can have. So it's purchasing your home and paying for your education. And the purpose of that is that when you purchase your home, it has a lifespan. When you get a college loan, you also have a lifespan. It's going to be paid in 30 years, but at the end of 30 years, it's dead. The house is the same thing. So these are two good debts. With the education, you get your foot in the door, and then the rest is up to you, because you need this piece of paper to get in the door. And that's the education you paid for. So that gives you an opportunity to prove yourself once you get in the door. Because when you go to school, what it tells me is that you have the ability to learn. That's what your degree says. You have the ability to learn. And if you are given a task, you can complete it in a certain time. That's what it means. So that is getting you into the door. It does not make you able to do what you're trained to do, because every company is different. They're going to train you their way. And then you buy a house, it grows in value, 10-15% a year. Not too many investments give you that type of return. So these are good debts. And the thing is that they have a lifespan. On a mortgage or on a loan, they'll tell you the amortization, which is how long it will take you to pay. So in the middle of that word, there's a French word that goes M-O-R-T, amortization. Mort means death. That means it's going to die. So this loan is going to be paid off and die after so many years. No, the worst type of debt you can have is the revolving debt. A revolving debt is your credit cards and your lines of credit.
Yeah.
They don't die, and you have to kill them or they'll kill you. It's simple as that.
Yeah.
If you can control that debt, and you have to be smart at it, you have to be conscious of it. If you have $100 in money and you spend it, you are aware you are spending this $100.
Yeah.
But if you're using your credit card, you will have spent $2,000 before you realize you spent $200. You know what
It's
I
true.
mean? And then
I am curious. Well, I am curious, like, so how would you go ahead and advise like paying off a large amount of credit card debt?
if you have a large amount of credit card debt,
I gotta know what's something you recommend
yeah,
if you have it. Yeah.
if what I usually do, the easiest way is to consolidate them. That is the easiest way. But if you do, you have to be careful with that. If you are able to get a loan, but not from these companies that have these bright signs at the corner, you have to go to a bank if they're willing to do that, which is very it's improbable. But what I always say to people, you should only really have one credit card. I happen to have two, because I travel a lot, and I have one that I used to shop on Amazon, and these things, and the limit is $600. The other one has a larger limit, but I don't use it often. When I could travel, I would use it just to get the points or whatever, but that money was there to pay. So once you're in a credit card situation and you have more than one, you need to bring it down to one credit card. Nobody should have a credit card that has more than $2,000 limit in it. No one.
Okay.
Because you owe your soul to the banks. These institutions own you. Credit card interest is like 29%. And if you don't pay it off, it is compound interest.
Yeah.
I had something, I had, what was it? 2,000, anyway, it was a small amount. I brought it up last week. And it was going to take me 11 years and 1 month if I paid $10 a month. And that is the minimum payment. So you have to take these credit cards, try to consolidate them, and put yourself on a plan. So you're paying off this credit card. If you can put all in one, it would be better. And then leave it alone. Don't pick up that debt until you can go and pay, you have it paid off. No. The thing to avoid so that you don't go back to using a credit card is open a savings account. So you have this credit card, it's a big circle, right? So that's the big debt, it's huge. Over here, you have a tiny thing that is your savings account. So you've been working diligently, you're putting $10 a week in your savings account, and you're paying down the credit card. So you pay down for 2 years, 3 years. And finally, when the last year comes, an emergency comes up. Something happens. It always, like they say, Murphy's Law, something is going to happen. And you need $1,500. Most emergencies is about $2,000, not more than that. Okay. It's the type of thing you call an emergency. Now, if you have been saving $10 a week or for the past 3 years, you will have $1,560 saved from $10, right? You don't touch it. You pay down that debt 3 years, and as soon as this 3 years is coming, 1 year left, something happens. But you have this $1,500 there. You take that, you attend to the emergency, and you keep paying the debt down, and your savings next week, another $10 stack again. So where people get in trouble is that they don't have that cushion. Dave Ramsey got himself in a lot of trouble during the pandemic. Yeah. Because he told people to pay their debt and don't save. You cannot do that. And a small emergency account, you can make it as big as you can. It's important to have it. So you pay down, you take the money from that savings, you got rid of what happened, the emergency, the car, the battery, or the house, the furnace, you know what I mean? But you continue paying the credit card off. But the following week, $10 starts again. So you're constantly saving. When you are done paying the credit card, you take half of that amount you're paying and you shift it to savings. You take the other half to balance your money so you don't find yourself in that situation again. Yeah, so your friends will tell you, oh, I only use it, and people are very proud when they say this. I only use my credit card for emergencies. And I go, well, it's not your money. You have to have your money for emergency. A credit card is not your money. You have to pay these people back. So you you must create your own emergency account. And that is what you have to get them to understand. They need to, while they're paying down the debt, they also need to save. It's not the same amount as what you're giving the debt, but you have to honor yourself. By paying something, putting something aside. And that's what I really insist on. I will not really work with somebody unless they make a commitment to honor themselves. I tell them that you have to honor yourself.
I like that, yeah.
You know, they do. Because you have to have some value for you. Because that person that will tell me, I have people telling me, you are so lucky. And I'm thinking, no, that was not luck. It was purpose, and there was purpose and determination with some discipline. I knew what I wanted. But there's always somebody who will tell you, like you, I'm sure they're telling you, oh, you're fine, look at how well you're doing and all of that.
Yeah. They'll be like, oh, you're so lucky. Like, it's because you have all these things. It's like, well, it's because it was like focused consistency.
Consistency. Trusting knowing that I want at a certain time of my life to live that way. And consistency is king.
Mm-hmm.
When, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the stock market, somebody wanted to tell me, get in the stock market. And I said to them, I am not going to teach you how to get into the stock market. You don't have money to do anything. My job, I said, my job is to help you to be healthy. I
Yes.
teach financial health.
Yes.
And I said there are like 2 million people up outside waiting with their suitcases, their briefcases in their hand to get your money to make you wealthy. So you can choose,
Mm-hmm.
but you will not find somebody. Not too many like me are out there. And I tell them that. So you, what you're doing, and for your youth, you have an amazing opening for that. There is nothing can hold you back. You just have to feel the commitment to do
Oh,
it.
thank you.
You know, because they will relate to you. You're as young as them, and you can prove that it can be done. And that is what
Mm-hmm.
matters. So make sure you don't get too many credit cards.
No, I mean I always make sure to like if I get a credit card, I always like pay off like I do I try to put like coffee on it like once a week or something.
Yeah.
And that's it.
There's
Or
so
like
many.
not even once a week. I barely get coffee. I just do like a $5 charge on it, and then
Mhm.
and that's just to build up credit, right? Like that's not
Yeah,
to like
it's
you
just to
know
show that
go
you
and be
can
crazy
manage
with it.
credit. It's just to show that. So I met a man when I
Yeah.
was a man from Iran. He had like 20 credit cards in his wallet. And it's not because he needed the money, they had money. And I said to him, Basil, what are you doing for all this credit card? He said, well, I'm building my credit. I said, no, you've already built your credit. Your family, you have a home. Get rid of these credit cards. There's too many there, too much exposure to that. And people don't
Mm-hmm.
realize that.
Okay.
If you go to buy a house, they consider all the credit cards you
Mm-hmm.
have as debt you can have, even if the balance is zero. Because what is
Okay.
stopping you from charging all of that and not being able to pay your mortgage? So they add it and they'll tell you you don't qualify. And if you question, they'll say, well, you have $70 worth of credit cards. You cannot carry a mortgage. You say, but it's zero balance. They said, what is stopping you going tomorrow morning and bringing it up to maxing it out? So there's a lot
That's
to
true.
learn with finance, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not hard. It's consistently some discipline,
It's
and
habits. It's like building that habit, you know?
it's a habit. It's consistently some little bit of discipline and knowing what you want, knowing the life you want to live. If you
Mm-hmm.
want to live paycheck to paycheck, then that is up to you. But it's possible with no matter how little you make. If you want a vacation, save for it before you go on
Mm-hmm.
the vacation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you want to go and you figure the vacation is $2,000, divide it by your paycheck. Divide it by
Mm-hmm.
26 paycheck, divide 2,000 by 26 and see how much money you need to put aside. If it takes you maybe, 39 weeks, a year and a half to save the money to go
Mm-hmm.
on the vacation, then you do that. And you go on the vacation, you use your credit card to pay for it. But when you come back, you pay
Yeah.
them off and you don't have to worry
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
And
Right away. Yeah.
yeah, I had a scenario where one girl, one young woman I taught, she had, because I teach them in the spending plan, you have a vacation account, you have a holiday, Christmas, whatever money. You put money aside in different places for that purpose. So she had a
Mm-hmm.
vacation account and she was going to Cuba. She called her friend and said to the friend, I'm going to Cuba and it's really a good deal. It's only $1,500. Would you like to come? The friend said, sure. So she didn't know much about the French. Friend said yes. So they went. So the following year, she said to the friend, since we had such a nice vacation, let's go to the Dominican Republic. So the friend said, I cannot do
Okay.
that. I'm still paying for the vacation. I went with Flappy last year because she didn't have a plan. So when I did the blog about it, I called it Whose Wind It Is Anyway. She got caught in somebody's wind. She had already set her sail to go on her vacation. She had a plan. And there you are,
Nice.
jumping in there. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
you have to
Yeah.
understand when somebody is already in the wind of what they're doing, you cannot come and catch the wind because you're not prepared for the force of the wind. And that's what happened to them. And so you see, that's the only thing about coaching, is that you coach from your experience. You cannot coach from anything.
True.
You cannot coach from somebody else's experience. You have to be able to have lived it or observed it or learned from it.
Definitely.
And that's how you coach. So you have gone through the road already and the financial stuff. So you already have a story that you can tell. And when the person that tells you, like you said, they say, oh, you're so lucky. It has nothing to do with luck. It's consistency, some discipline, and a plan. Because if money is like a horse. If you don't harness it, it will go. That is what money is made to do. So money has to be harnessed. If you want to have it, you need to be harnessed and say, this is where you're going, and that's where you're staying. Otherwise, it will go. Something out there will take it away, and you will fall for it. You heard of this lady that gave this person called whatever, they befriended her and told her he can get her to make rich money very quick with bitcoins. So she started putting 100. Anyway, she ended up losing $80,000, and it's 40,000. It was not hers. So if she knew more about it, she could do it, but she didn't know about Bitcoin. Why are you doing this? Because
that's true. If you're gonna invest in what you know.
Invest in what you know. You start small and ask questions. Don't be afraid to, as I say, call me. I'll be honest with you because I have nothing to gain from it. But the person that comes, as I said to this lady yesterday, when they come to the church and they're carrying a briefcase and they're in church, you know they're not there to church. And they give you their business card. I'm an investment person. You know what? They came to make money. They have to eat. And the more aggressive they are with your money, the more money they get paid. And the more money you get, you lose. And I said, investing is great. The only thing is that you need 10 years or more to make money on the stock market. And you will, but you have to stick it. Like, it's discipline and consistency. You must be in there. And this lady said to me, well, what does it mean when you see the lines going like this? I said, the lines are going like this when the market drops, when the market goes up, when it drops. I said, it's a roller coaster. It's not fun. And you have to have the stomach for it. Otherwise, some people jump. They kill themselves when they lose money on the market. It's so hard on them because they took some chances, you know, and it destroys them. So, what do you have? Hi, Yoko. Yoko just joined us. And Susie and Rosie, all the ladies. These ladies are late. They came late tonight. They must have been at a party. So you have any
questions? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Questions. I think that's it. To be honest, did you have any questions for me?
Well, all I want to know: are you going to try to realize that you are already ready to coach because you have a story to tell?
I realize it now. Yes, I definitely realized it with this exchange. Oh, okay. Yeah.
You have a story. Right. It doesn't matter who. You could start with a nephew. If you have a sister or brother with a child, you can start with the 10, 15-year-old. Like, you have to start somewhere. But you already have walked through the holes. You know where the cracks are. You know where where what can bring you down and what can pick you up and what you must do to stand up. So you already have a story to tell. You can only teach from your struggle. I learned that my parents' income money couldn't follow me to Canada. That was theirs. And my husband and I had to figure it out. So because I knew about money from such an early age, I had no choice. I figured it out. And I started saving $3.50 every 2 weeks. But in 7 years, we had enough to buy a house because every time we got a raise, we saved it. I sewed my dresses by hand. I knew how to make my own clothes. I did not have a sewing machine. And I borrowed somebody's sewing machine who was in the office, and she said, would you like to borrow it on the weekend? We had no car. So I came from people driving me to school for me to take the bus. I didn't know all this, but I had to do it. So I borrowed her sewing machine. Her boyfriend and her dropped it for us. And then on Sunday night, they came to pick it up. But besides that, I would go to the store and buy half a yard of fabric and make a mini skirt. I was skinny and tall, so 18 inches was enough to make a just skirt. And I would make it and wear it the next morning. I would stay up all night stitching it. I knew how to do that. So when finally we saved enough, after we bought the house, and I bought a brand new Singer sewing machine. I still have it for $111. And I sewed. And I made, when my daughter was born, I made all her clothes before she was born. Everything I sewed. I learned to can, I learned to cook, I learned to make. My parents, I grew up with a bakery where they baked 30,000 pounds of flour a day, a huge bakery. And I didn't know how to make bread because I never worked in there. But I learned how to make bread. So because with my husband and I didn't like the bread, it was too fluffy, whatever. So I learned to make bread. I learned how to can vegetables. I learned how to freeze food. I learned how to make spaghetti. We don't have spaghetti in Dominica, but it's a bigger pot. I learned I didn't know how to make pilau. And although I was in Spain for a time going on holidays, I had no idea what pilau was, but I made it, pilau. And so I learned to cook and learned to do chicken. And when I didn't know, I'd call somebody. And I went to the library, got recipe books. And so we did it from scratch. And so I know what it is to start from there and to save a little bit of money, but never stop saving. Because it took us 7 years, but every raise we got, we put it in there. And we made do with what we had. So, and that was how it was. I used to buy the fabric. My cousin's wife and I would go to the fabric store and we'd buy 6 meters together in one piece, because the man would give it to us for $1 cheaper than if we bought 3 meters each. And then after he cut it, we say, okay, can you measure 3 meters off? And he would cut it, not realizing what we were doing. We would go and buy 2 dozen corn because it was cheaper to buy 2 dozen than to buy a dozen. We'd buy 1 watermelon and have it cut in half. We'd go to the butcher and get a roast, and then we'd ask him to cut it in half and repack it for us, and they did it. So that I know. And people have to realize you cannot buy packaged food and survive. So you have to talk from your struggle. So this is what I teach. I am who you are now. I used to be that person. And that's what you have to remember. So you can teach anybody from what you've told me. And if you don't have anybody on the street to teach, practice on somebody in your family. Practice on your nephew, your niece. Practice on somebody. Find somebody to practice on.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, we'll do.
Huh?
Yeah. Right, definitely will do. And I'm like thinking about, okay, who am I gonna practice or teach and practice with? Okay.
Anybody you know that has a part-time job or something like that, or they're talking about it, you say, when you get your job, you need to save $2 out here and don't use it.
Okay.
Save it for something special. I am still like that. The other day, out of the blue, the government sent us a check for $300. I don't know. So I took it and I said, I'm going to keep this in my wallet until I know what to do with it. It took 6 months. When I saw it was going to expire, I put it in the bank and I took the $300 out and I kept it. I have it in cash. I said, I have to buy something special with it. So that is what you teach somebody. Money you didn't work for or you receive, never just throw it away and buy and make some money. Put it aside and buy something with it so you can remember what you did with it. It's like the people who, my mother taught that to me. She said, where do people pay for the lottery? They win $5, they take the same $5 and they buy a ticket. She said, that is saying that wasn't enough. Take the $5, put it in your purse, and then take money that you have for the lottery and buy it. But the money you receive, she said, don't give it back. So I don't know what that means, but my mother was amazing with money, so I thought it was fun. So I practice that. I don't buy lottery tickets, but I tell people, if you win $2, keep the $2. Don't use it. Don't say, take it to play again. Accept what you get, because then you're saying, okay, I'm okay with $2. And we were taught that If you take care of the nickels, the dimes will take care of itself. My mom used to say, do you actually throw money on the floor in your house? And people will say no. I say, well, then why there's money on the floor? So they believed that is the testing from the angels to see if you will take care of what is on the ground, what you have on the floor. Then you can take care of what is in your pocket. So there's a lot of money. Money is a wild, wild thing. And if you don't harness it, keep it in chain, as you said, hold it together, consistency, it will go. And if somebody asks you, how did you spend it? You'll say, well, I don't know. But I don't know is not an answer. You should know what to do with your money. Everybody should. So I don't think I have any more to give.
Wow.
You gave me some good pointers too. So that was really great. You taught me something that I didn't have to teach myself, because I came from the idea of money was important and you had to work for it and you took care of it and it's yours and it's not growing on a tree, and you had to go feed the cows on the plantation because nobody was there, and you got paid if you went to do your chores. My dad and mom made sure we got paid for doing the chores on the weekend. But when you spoke about how you were and how you started that journey, and you realize, I don't like that life. I don't like not having money.
Yeah.
I don't like not paying for my school. I don't like I cannot afford my textbook. How can I live? And you said what you did. When I created my first business plan, I remember taking 24 books from the library. They didn't have computer, so I borrowed 24 books. When I went to the bank to get an increase, to get some money for me to buy some machines for the business I had at the time, the bank manager looked and said to me, who made this business plan? And I said, me. He said, you? I said, yeah. I said, I'm good at math. I have a degree in mathematics, but I needed a book, so I borrowed the books from the library. He couldn't believe it. So after that, anytime he had a new entrepreneur, he used to say, go down the street, you see this lady over there, ask her to help you. Tell her what she did. So you have, so you can tell them that. Tell them what books you read, what you got from the, so share it. Everything you learn, you have to share. Every struggle you have, and you come out of it. My father said to me, knowledge is not yours to keep. He said,
it's to share with others.
He said, you get it, you have to give it away. You get the knowledge, you give it away. And he always said that knowledge is not yours to keep. So that's what, you have it, so share it. Start small so you can go big. And so I hope you had a good time. We took an hour, almost an hour. So
this was fun. No, I loved it. This was great.
We should do it another time.
Definitely appreciate. It was breaking up, but.
No, we should get others to come and send us questions, and we'll try to answer their questions. So next time.
Definitely. Let's do it.
Yeah, we'll say we're going live and we want some questions. We put it in Movement Makers. Okay. So I will send you a copy of it. All right?
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Everybody that came here, Susan,
thank you.
Ezra. And
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate
I'm so grateful for coming.
And thank you for your time, Tessa.
Oh,
thank you for your time. I appreciate sharing ideas. It's fun.
You too. I enjoyed talking to you, and I really like the idea that you did it on your own. I am so proud of you. So share. Take care. Love you. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.